Modern financial systems often present themselves as transparent, with visible prices and continuous market data flow. However, despite this apparent openness, many people feel increasingly confused about how money truly works, and this confusion is not accidental. It is structural. The financial system doesn't hide information in the traditional sense. Instead, it overwhelms, fragments, and reframes reality, pushing important mechanics into the background. What the system truly conceals is the distribution of incentives, risks, and outcomes, and how these are mathematically determined long before individuals experience them. A crucial distinction often overlooked is that between the financial system and the real economy. The real economy involves production, labor, services, innovation, and consumption, while the financial system's role is to allocate capital to support these activities. However, this relationship inverted over time. By the early 1980s, financial activity began growing faster than real output. In the US, the financial sector's share of corporate profits surged from under 10% in the 1950s to over 30% by the early 2000s, making finance a dominant engine within the economy. This shift is significant because finance optimizes for returns on capital, not broad economic stability. One of the most powerful reframings in modern finance is the portrayal of debt as growth. Borrowing allows spending before income is earned, accelerating activity and inflating GDP in the short term. From 1980 to the early 2020s, global debt rose from roughly 150% to over 350% of global GDP, while long-term productivity growth slowed. The system highlights growth figures but obscures future repayment burdens, making debt feel benign because its costs are delayed. Markets are supposed to convey information through prices, but when money is cheap and abundant, prices lose their informational value. After the 2008 crisis, central banks lowered interest rates and injected trillions, causing asset prices in stocks, bonds, and real estate to surge far faster than wages. This created an illusion of prosperity while masking fragility, as prices supported by liquidity rather than cash flow hide risk in plain sight. One of the least visible features of the financial system is how effectively it redistributes risk. Banks and institutions are designed to move risk away from themselves and onto households, governments, and future taxpayers. Before 2008, mortgage risk was repackaged and sold globally, and when losses materialized, private risk became public liability. Governments stepped in, central banks absorbed assets, and balance sheets expanded, socializing losses while gains had already been privatized. Liquidity is often confused with safety. When markets are liquid, assets can be sold easily, creating confidence. However, liquidity is not constant. It is conditional, appearing abundant during calm periods, but evaporating during stress. The system encourages leverage because liquidity appears reliable, until it isn't, which is why crises often feel sudden. Modern finance thrives on complexity, with derivatives, structured products, and layered funds increasing efficiency but reducing clarity. When outcomes are poor, responsibility becomes diffuse, making it hard to pinpoint the cause among policy, markets, algorithms, or global conditions. Complexity doesn't create fragility on its own, but it hides where fragility sits, as the system is designed to keep capital moving, not to make consequences obvious. Incentives matter more than intention, and financial professionals are rewarded for quarterly performance, while governments are constrained by election cycles. This misalignment ensures that risks accumulate quietly, as long-term consequences fall outside immediate decision horizons. No individual actor needs to behave irresponsibly for the system to drift toward instability. They only need to respond rationally to incentives. The system doesn't want you to see that short-term optimization guarantees long-term imbalance. When debt and obligations grow too large to manage openly, inflation becomes the adjustment mechanism. Inflation reduces real debt burdens, erodes purchasing power, and transfers wealth from savers to debtors. This process is rarely framed explicitly. It is presented as temporary, transitory, or external, but historically, inflation has been the most politically acceptable way to resolve excessive debt. Households experience the system differently. Wages lag assets, costs rise faster than income, and savings lose purchasing power. People are told to invest to keep up, increasing their exposure to market volatility, making stability conditional on participation in the very system creating fragility. What the financial system doesn't want you to see is not a secret plot, but that outcomes are structural, not moral. Debt drives growth, liquidity distorts prices, risk migrates outward, complexity hides fragility, and incentives favor the short term. None of this requires bad actors. It requires a system built on credit, confidence, and delayed consequences. Understanding this doesn't mean rejecting the system, but seeing it clearly, so you stop being surprised by outcomes that once felt random. The system is not hiding. It is operating exactly as designed, and now you can see it.